I'm in Chappell, Nebraska. This is a town that has not been historically good to me. They don't like people who are different. They don't like people who are colored. They don't like people who are gay. Really, I don't think most of these folks even like themselves. Now, since Natalie's death, a lot of people have been cruel to me. A lot of people have broken a lot of laws, and then they got to fish for excuses. They got to fish for excuses to be mean. So there's this guy in town, right? He's always got a bunch of kids running around his house. I don't mean literally in his house, I mean around his house. They're out in the road, they're on the sidewalk, they're wherever, they're little kids. I mean, we're not talking about like 10-year-olds or 15-year-olds. We're talking about like toddlers and shit like that. So I heard him one day and he was complaining. Now, the only reason I know where this guy's house is because I've seen him come out of his house before to stream at these kids. Get out of the road! Get out of the road! Get the hell out of the road! So, I mean, at least he's being a good parent. Well, I guess he could probably prevent them from going into the road to begin with by keeping a closer watch on them, or keeping in mind the fact that they're toddlers, and if you turn your head for 5 seconds, they're gone. So maybe they should be inside a little bit more. But this guy was complaining, people drive by his house too fast, and he's afraid somebody's going to run one of his kids over. Well, I drive like a grandma. I am scared shitless of running somebody's kid over, so I drive like grandma. So this guy gets an attitude with me one day, and unlike Robert Warnick, who threatened to kill me, this guy was just an asshole. But he says to me, "So why you slow down every time you go by my house?" Fishing for excuses. See, in a small town, reputation is what people care about. But more important than reputation is your looks and your family name. That's where your reputation comes from. There's a lot of good looking girls I went to high school with, and they could get away with a lot. There were also a lot of women I went to school with. Well, they're women now, they were girls at the time. There's a lot of girls that I went to school with that weren't the pretty ones. They weren't the skinny ones. They weren't the cheerleaders. And they did not get away with a whole heck of a lot. They weren't treated the same as the pretty girls, just like the ugly guys are not treated the same as the pretty guys. But here's the thing. This guy, he's worried about his kids, right? He's worried about them getting ran over by somebody driving 20 and a 15. So when I drive through that area, I do the same thing that I do every time I drive through a residential area. I slow down anytime there's traffic, and I slow down anytime that there's vehicles parked off to the right-hand side of the road, because here in America, we drive on the right-hand side of the road. It takes half a second for a kid that you didn't see behind the front end of that Dodge Dakota or Toyota Tacoma or whatever it happens to be. It only takes half a second for that kid to step out in front of your vehicle and get turned into a pancake. Now he's complaining about people driving too fast. Does he want me to drive fast through there? Is that what he's wondering? Why is it that I don't speed through there at 20 miles an hour? In reality, after what happened to Natalie and the fact that I was never allowed to defend myself against the slander, I have to take this abuse everywhere. See, a lot of people want me to move. Why don't you move? Why don't you move? Why don't you move? I've moved a lot. I've moved in with strangers. I've moved in with people that I knew. I have moved a lot. But it seems like everywhere I go, I got to deal with drug addicts or alcoholics. They don't help. They're a waste of time. Matter of fact, they are counterproductive. I could have gotten a lot done over at Shannon Alvarado's in California. I was there for a while, at least 2 months. But then there's the issues of during the day. She doesn't want me recording during the day or making the phone calls that I need to during the day because she might yell at her daughter. And she doesn't want to get charged with child abuse for yelling at her daughter. Well, her daughter is autistic and not like me. She's very low functioning. She doesn't have the ability to speak. And the thing is that if her daughter is doing something that is dangerous to other people in the house, Shannon has a right to yell. She has a right to get her daughter's attention and say, hey, you can't do that. You're going to get someone hurt. The problem is, during the day, that's when everybody I got to get a hold of is open. None of these attorneys are going to answer their phone at 10:30 at night. Sorry, not attorneys. I didn't have a real attorney. I had public pretenders. None of these officers are going to answer their phone at 11 o'clock at night. None of these people are going to do anything at 11 o'clock at night. I got to get it all done during the day. And it's fucked up. Because starting 6 o'clock at night, now mind you, every night Shannon Alvarado was telling me, all right, well, I'll help you tonight. I'll help you tonight. I'll help you tonight. I'll help you tonight. And every single night, by 6 o'clock, she's already started drinking. By 6:30, she's already drunk. And then she doesn't have time because drunks are only interested in themselves. They only care about themselves. The more drunk you get, the more selfish you become. So there's people who want to change the rules. But they change the rules depending on who it is. You guys get to see this with the Gabby Petito situation. This is a pretty white girl that all of America and Canada and Mexico are posting up about. And I'm sure, just like with the Natalie Bollinger situation, there are nut job groups all over the internet. And then we got people who are literally harassing the family of Brian Laundrie. First of all, it's illegal, but we've seen it happening live on TV. We've seen it happening in our YouTube clips. We got on Facebook, and 400 people that we know are all posting about Gabby Petito and showing that lady with the bullhorn screaming outside of the house. We've seen these crimes being committed on national television, and nobody does anything about it. Now, don't get me wrong. What happened to Gabby is sad. But at the same time, are we supposed to have vigilantism? At this point, I firmly believe that we should. The police are not doing their jobs. They're too busy trying to find scapegoats. And most of the time, their scapegoat is a homeless person. Now, they got enough stuff and a lot of hate pushed towards this Brian Laundrie feller. Now, you can look at a lot of the situations that he was in with Gabby versus the situations I was in with Natalie. I wasn't the one hitting Natalie. I wasn't the one dating Natalie. I didn't travel across the country with Natalie. I didn't drop Natalie off in a park. I didn't kill Natalie. Now, we don't have any evidence that shows that Brian actually killed Gabby. We got a lot of people who want to go out and witch hunt him. Now, we hear a lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, if somebody hit my daughter, they wouldn't find him either. Well, what if your daughter is hitting him? See, you're trying to insinuate that it's all right to kill a man for hitting a woman. Is it all right to kill a woman for hitting a man? Is it? Because, see, that's not equality. Now, we keep getting it shoved down our throats that men can't be victims. Only women can be victims. What fucking horse shit. We keep getting it shoved down our throats that only black people can be victims of racism. White people can't. And that is fucking horse shit too. Just the fact that people say that a white person, well, obviously can't have a hate crime committed against them shows that that right there is the mentality that allows it. Meanwhile, you look at the victims. Victims take a lot of flack in this country. Victims take a lot of blame. I was the victim of stalking by a whole bunch of fucking junkies. And I'm the one to this day who continues to take abuse over it. Now, a lot of y'all, you prefer the word addict. Some of y'all prefer the word junkie. You know what? They mean the same thing. They're the same thing. Whether you call a prostitute or a whore, it's the same job. Whether you call somebody a toilet cleaner or a shitter scrubber, it's the same job. Now, this guy in town with all them kids, should I drive down the street faster than the speed limit? Should I? Should I drive faster than the speed limit because this guy is uncomfortable with me doing what it is that he had originally been complaining about, which is people driving too fast? Well, if I drive the speed limit, I'm not driving too fast. And by the way, I drive slower than the speed limit. And a lot of y'all who drive vehicles are going to be pissed off at that. Nobody should do that. Well, you know what? If the speed limit says 15 miles per hour, but there's a couple of really big vehicles parked off to the side of the road in front of these houses, vehicles big enough that me in a little dinky car cannot see these kids running out into the street because I can't see through another vehicle. I don't have x-ray vision. I also don't have some sort of magic telepathic power where I can take over a crow in a tree and see down on the other side. Y'all need to be realistic about this. Now, if it's 10 o'clock at night, sure, I'll drive the speed limit. At 10 o'clock at night, it's a lot less likely that there's going to be a toddler running out into the middle of the street. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Just because it's less likely that a kid is going to be outside playing at 10 o'clock at night doesn't mean they're not going to. Now, if I drove faster through that neighborhood because that guy was paranoid of me driving too slow and his kid got ran over because I followed his instructions, whose fault is it? Is it my fault that his kid got ran over? Is it his kid's fault that he got ran over? Is it his fault that his kid got ran over? The reality in that situation is that I would get blamed. I would. So if he wants me to drive 20 miles an hour through a 15-mile per hour residential zone, I'm not going to drive 20 miles an hour. Because I know that he's not going to take any responsibility if his kid ends up dead. He's not going to take any responsibility whatsoever. And when I say, hey, this guy was bitching at me because I was driving too slow, nobody's going to give two shits. The kid is still dead and they still need a scapegoat. So when it comes to you guys and your moronic ideas, I'm not going to follow your stupid ideas. I'm going to do the intelligent thing. The intelligent thing, when things like are going on in my life are happening, the intelligent thing is to fucking speak up. See, a lot of people seem to think that if I wasn't on the internet, then I wouldn't be abused. I am not worried about the abuse on the fucking internet. I'm not worried about somebody taking a gun, putting it through the computer screen, and killing my family. I'm not worried about somebody sticking a shotgun up to their computer screen and blowing my head off. Because it's not fucking possible. But in real life, see, that's something that people always seem to forget about. I have predators in real life. I have predators in this town telling me to move. Where am I supposed to move to? My credit history has been completely destroyed. My rental history has been completely destroyed. And no matter what, I don't get to defend myself. It is assumed that I am the bad guy. Now, if you take a look at all of these situations, you realize that I'm not. But cowards are going to blame me anyway. We got some troll over on the right-hand side here calling themselves Dandelion. They're in the live chat typing, "Have you tried getting better at life?" Boy, oh boy, oh boy! As if that's not condescending. Now, where am I supposed to move to? And how am I supposed to move there? My life was destroyed by slander. And I was never allowed to defend myself against that slander. When it made a difference, every resource that I had was repeatedly cut off and stolen from me. Over and over and over. Meanwhile, my actual predators and Natalie's actual predators got all the help in the fucking world. Now, I was the one being stalked before Natalie was killed, but I didn't get any fucking help because I have a penis. Video games were more important to all these people. Doing drugs and getting drunk was more important to these people. And for the police, getting paid to do nothing was more important to them. I don't make my decisions based on the law. I make my decisions based on the safety of other human beings. Of course, we got Dandelion over here still typing. We'll let Dandelion go for a while. We've also got the problem of all of these web sleuths. They make all of these fake accounts. They're too afraid to give their real name. They're too afraid of consequences. They think that they should be able to harass and threaten people with impunity. And of course, we have the ability to locate these people and see to it that they are put in jail for the crimes that they did commit. But then we got local law enforcement saying they can't do anything. Don't fucking lie to me. All this shit they're saying that they can't do, they don't have the ability. Well, we can look at Gabby Petito's case and we can see that all of the things they're telling me they don't have the ability to do, they absolutely have those abilities. They have the ability to find missing and murdered Indigenous women. They just don't fucking care. They have the ability to take a police report from a homeless person. They just don't fucking care. And then we got weaklings like Dandelion over here. Why would I call Dandelion a weakling? Well, because Dandelion wants to type, sounds like excuses from a weak boy. Jesus Christ, we got a bunch of dumb sumbitches on here, don't we? Do you believe everything you read on the internet? That depends on who it's about. If it happens to a girl, we owe it to her because she has female genitalia to drop whatever we're doing on the spot and help her. But when it's a guy, it's just pretty words. You should just move on. You should just move on. Move on to where? You want me to go back out there and be homeless with this shit going on? You want me to go out there and have all of my things stolen and be abused over and over and over again for the rest of my life because you don't care about the homeless? Now, when you look at the disparity between the black community, BLM mostly, that's who we're hearing a lot of this stuff from, not necessarily the black community, but specifically with BLM, telling us it's all white people's fault. And you see the disparity there. You see how if it's a black person, obviously the nation doesn't give a fuck. They care about Gabby Petito, but she's got a lot going for her. She's young, she's pretty, she's female, she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I mean, seriously, you can't get somebody that America cares about more than that unless she's 17 instead of 22. Oh, she's underage. Now we really need to do something. But then again, you don't give a shit about the kids in the system getting raped by their fucking foster parents, do you? No, you don't. And we got Dandelion over here, of course, with the same trolling. You're obsessed with genitals. Very strange. Holy fuck. And see, that right there is the same exact bullshit that this video is about. The same exact bullshit. To this day, law enforcement and the general public have done everything in their power to prevent me from showing the truth in court. Everything they possibly can. Just short of killing me. And that's what it's going to take. If you want me to shut up, you literally have to kill me. Here's something most of y'all don't know. I fought for black rights and native rights and homeless rights and children's rights before Natalie was killed. Now, we had a lot of programs back in the day in Boulder that were started by homeless people. And they were good programs and they did help. They helped to prevent, in some cases, literally hundreds of people a night. That's hundreds of people in a night that are not going to freeze to death. Now, there were about 5 or 6 of these programs. And the thing about these 5 or 6 programs is that the Boulder Sheriff's Department was somehow able to get in control of every single one of them. And what did they do with those programs? Did they run the programs like they promised? No, they literally shut them all down. Now I get this other dude at Schizophrenia Cybernation claiming I took his Ativan. So what do we do with the Ativan people? We go over to the right-hand side. We click the 3 dots. We click hide user on this channel, and blam, they're gone. Wouldn't it be nice if I could do that in real life? Wouldn't it be nice if, when Robert Warnick threatened me the first time, if I could just press a button and have him magically zoom to his house instead of threatening my life? Wouldn't that be nice? How about when he chased me down and assaulted me? It sure would be nice if I could just grab a mouse, click the three dots over on the side, click hide user in my life, and magically I don't have to deal with him. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, we got morons like Dandelion over here who think that they're tough shit. But in reality, Dandelion isn't using Dandelion's real name, isn't going to tell me Dandelion's real name. In order for me to turn this in, what am I going to do? Turn in Dandelion? And then what do I get? The cops aren't even going to look at it. They could literally come in here, get on YouTube, get on Facebook, and click on Dandelion's picture, find out where Dandelion's site is from, find out the IP address, and go serve a goddamn warrant. Are they gonna? No. Dandelion types, what would you do? Hide all women? Why would I hide women? What purpose is there at all in hiding women? Isn't that one of the things that Americans complain the most about Muslims? Having to cover their skin and hide who they are? I believe that women are human beings, same as men, even if they do get special treatment. Now, the disparity between BLM and rich people, rich white men, is who they're primarily blaming, and of course, homeless people and black people, there is just as much difference in how much America cares. Now, Dandelion types something else. It says this message is held for review. We're going to show it. It says, what are you turning me in for, you idiot? God damn, Dandelion's about dumb as a fucking stump. But you know what? Dandelion has not been so incredibly stupid that they're getting blocked yet. Now, why do I keep saying they instead of she? I don't know if Dandelion is a he or a she at all. Now, when I was in Boulder, there was a lot of LGBTQ people, a lot of them. And many of them had specific names and titles that they wanted to be called. Some of them had incredible egos and massive titles. Some of them wanted to be called he or she or they or ma'am or sir. Some of them didn't want to get called ma'am or sir because it makes them feel old. But when it all comes down to it, knowing as many homosexuals as I knew in Boulder, Colorado, now, mind you, these aren't cross-dressers, these are just homosexuals. Given the number of homosexuals that I knew in Boulder, Colorado, each one of them wanting their own title, their own, well, descriptives, I couldn't possibly remember them all. There is no way I'm going to remember them all. So sometimes I'd get somebody who felt that I should address them by what they consider their official title, and I just simply couldn't remember their official title. And then I get treated like I'm a bad person who is anti-homosexual because I can't remember the fancy title you made for yourself. Them, they, if you don't want to be described by your gender, if you don't want to be a he or a she, I can say they or them. Ah, Rich Life made another profile. So what are we going to do here? Well, I suppose we ought to pull out the trusty telephone with the trusty camera on it and take a picture. That way we got the evidence for posterity. Don't that sound nice? There we go. Oh, Rich Life of Dopehead was able to retract the message. It don't matter if it's retracted. This person is getting hide user on this channel. Blam! How easy that was. It says Rich Life of Dopehead was hidden by Sean David. So easy to do on the internet. Now, a lot of people, literally, there's hundreds of fake profiles that got a hold of me to harass me and to pick on me and to threaten my life and to threaten my family's lives and things of that nature. There's a lot of them. Now, when I got a hold of people on the accounts that I made because I was prevented from speaking, I let them know who I was. And of course, Rich Life already has another profile up. So let's take a picture of that one. And then, blam. Hide user on this channel. See that right there? Pretty easy. So easy, a trained circus monkey could do it. The world changes when we make it change. But when certain people are given more power than others, or certain people are considered more human than others, I mean, you could look at the Gabby Petito case and tell that everybody in America thinks that she's human. She's pretty. I mean, that right there gives her a whole bunch of people who are automatically going to be on her side. We've got the fact that she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. Now we got a bunch of neo-Nazis who are like, oh, well, they can't do that to her. We got the fact that she's female. So there's all of these feminist groups out there who are like, oh, look, we can use this to try to show how terrible all men are. So when it comes to being a white man, you have to deal with the fact that people are racist against you because you're white. People think that it's okay to be racist against you because you must be racist because you're white. Then we got to deal with all of this man hating. You were raped by your dad, bitch. Go after your dad. If your uncle raped you, go after your uncle. If you were raped by a cop, go after that cop. Don't go after men. The more anti-man crap that you put up, the more likely I am to post up the same shit about women. And you sure as fuck don't like that, do you? You don't like it when you're treated the way that you treat others. It makes you feel bad. Well, poor you. And then, of course, this person calling himself Rich Life is back. So, let's take another picture. And then we'll go over to the right-hand side and we'll hit hide user on this channel. Again, you see how easy that is. You see how easy it is on the internet. It is not that easy in real life. Then Dandelion wants to type he was being nice with a question mark. He didn't want to be friends. He wanted to be a troll. Wanted to pull the same Ativan bullshit over and over again, and many, many, many of these. Rich Life made 3 profiles just to troll me on this one video. Rich Life of Dopehead, Rich Life of Biscuits, Rich Life of Phone Calls. I wonder if Rich Life will make another one before the video's over. It's not that these officers don't have the time or the resources to investigate the crimes against me. It's the fact that nobody cares. They care. They certainly care. Because if there was ever an actual investigation into the crimes committed against me, Scott DaCosta would be in prison. Leslie Snell would be, in the least, in jail. And she certainly would not be allowed to work with law enforcement ever again. But who do I have to depend on? Just me. A lot of these people who promised that they were going to help me right from the very beginning, they never did. They wasted time and resources doing nothing, because if they weren't speaking up, they were doing nothing. Dandelion typed, "You can depend on Dandelion." To what? Troll me, Dandelion? Somebody calling themselves Punk Life Broke Trips typed, "I do agree with a lot you say." Well, I agree with a lot I say too. I also disagree with a lot of things that I say. You know what things I disagree with that I say? The stuff that I say to prove the point. See, we get all of these posts from BLM where we have a comparison of a poor black person and a rich white person, and then we get told that it's the disparaged situation between black people and white people. No, it's not. That's a rich white person you're talking about. Was Garrett rich? No, and he's dead and nobody fucking cares. He was still a human being. He fought for Black Lives Matters. He served in our military. His fiancée was a black woman with no arms and no legs. And the man still stuck out with her. For 8 years after that happened to her, he was still with her. Hey, take a look at the way the police treated me in Boulder and how I was treated by the general public as a result of it, and how I was treated in the news media by it and about it. And then there's all of the shit that I have to take from the general public, because these people selling these narratives didn't care if it was true or not. It was good ratings, even if it destroys a human life. Demetrius Shankling was killed by a couple of officers who I had had previous run-ins with. It's hard not to have run-ins with the cops when they hobo hunt. And that's what Boulder police are good at. They're good at breaking the law and starting fights with the homeless. Dandelion over here typing, "Dandelion ensures you always get whatever you deserve." Are you sure about that, Dandelion? Do you know what I deserve? Of course you don't. You've got no clue what the fuck is going on. Now, I'm not anti-woman, not even a little bit. I continue to fight for women's rights. But at the same time, I don't look at them as women's rights. I look at them as our rights. It's not just wrong to rape a woman. It is wrong to rape anyone. It's not just wrong for a man to hit a woman. It's not. It is wrong for anyone to be getting violent. But I recommend if someone gets violent with you that you defend yourself. This is advice I can't even take. I can't take my own advice. If I defend myself against my attackers, I get locked up. Matter of fact, I just spent 7 months out of this year locked up because I was assaulted and I didn't even fight back. Let's put that in fucking perspective for you. Dandelion typed, you underestimate Dandelion. Really, Dandelion? Are you going to get me an honest fucking day in court? Are you going to help me go through this shit and get all the paperwork done to put these people where they belong? I doubt it. I severely doubt it. Anyway, this is the end of this video. Y'all need to watch out for each other. You also need to look out for each other. Not every man out there is going to kill you. Not every man out there is going to rape you. And when a man helps you out, it's probably not a good idea to blame him for your bullshit. If you get strung out on heroin and you don't want to turn in your heroin dealer, that's not my fault. Have a happy fucking Christmas, people.